How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. It helps out, means a ton. You guys get plenty of fun stuff, not just One Piece. We cover plenty of manga on the channel, so stick around, check it out, see if anything else catches your interest. Anyway, we got chapter 1033 of One Piece today, so you know it's a great day, especially if you're a Zoro fan. This is a pretty damn good chapter, I'm not gonna lie. So we start off, and we still got Zoro and King not on the rooftop, but out on the outside, on the rocky bit on the side of Onigashima. You know where they're at, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, so yeah, the beginning of this chapter is kind of interesting because Enma keeps draining energy from Zoro. He even tells me, he's like, will you stop taking this without permission, please? Like, he's literally just talking to the sword. So at least in the fan translation, King says, huh, trouble in paradise? That was just kind of funny. Flies straight up to him, just kind of stops right there and just like opens up, like, go ahead and hit me. He doesn't really say that, but that's just what he does. He just flies up, stops, and like, meh. Okay, I guess he was just goading Zoro into an attack, because Zoro even says, he's like, what are you trying to pull? And he stabs him straight in the gut, and King blows himself up. Do you see what I'm saying when I'm talking about King is just a really weird person to fight? When Zoro's like, I gotta figure this out, I gotta solve this, otherwise I'm not gonna be able to beat him. You would be sitting in the same spot. He's weird. King is weird. And to stress this point, we cut over to Sanji and Queen's telling Sanji, he's like, so you just called Pirate Hunter, right? Yeah, there's no way he's beaten King. King's a surviving Lunarian. They could literally survive in any inhabitable environment you throw them into. They were considered gods back in the day. Sanji does bring it up. He goes, well, if they were gods, if they were so strong, how'd they get beaten? King says they'll have to find that out for themselves. So we cut back over to Zoro and King, and Zoro's obviously very surprised and wondering what the hell just happened. He's like, why? There's not a scratch on him, and he just blew himself up. That literally does not make sense. How do you get to blow yourself up and be fine? Anyway, yeah, Shishi Son Son. So he just throws out Lethal Lion Song, and that is an attack we've seen from Zoro many times. It is a very powerful attack from Zoro. A lot of people may think it's not that super powerful because I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people think like one sword style is weaker than two sword style, and then two sword style is weaker than three sword style, like no matter what. But there are some one sword style attacks that are stronger than two sword style attacks. Just because you use more swords doesn't mean that attack is stronger. Depends on the exact type of attack. Now, Zoro's strongest attack with three swords is obviously stronger than his strongest attack with one sword. That's obvious. But anyway, moving on, this doesn't matter because, yeah, this really does nothing to King, like everything. He just doesn't really take damage for some weird reason. But anyway, King doesn't really care. He just turns around and immediately decides to do his Imperial Tempura Udon again and stretches his head back like an idiot and shoots it at Zoro again. Apparently, Oda saw how much everybody in the community loved that and thought it was hilarious, so he said, fine, I'm just gonna have him do it again. So Zoro sees this thing coming, and he's like, okay, I remember that. I'm gonna take out the other two swords for this. This thing isn't fun. As he grabs the other two swords and brings Enma out again, it starts draining his haki again. So he's telling Enma, stop it, Jesus Christ. And then this Tempura Udon comes at him, smacks him damn near off the roof, off the side, whatever. Doesn't really matter because Sandai Katetsu is actually falling off. Zoro screams out its name, jumps off and grabs the blade. King flies out and kicks him back with a fire kick. Like, really? You're gonna risk yourself for a sword, you idiot? Kicks him back, Sanji style. Zoro even comments about the fact that it burns. So yeah, King's fire kicks are pretty hot. But as he went out to grab the Sandai Katetsu, we got little flashbacks of him talking to Tenguyama Hitetsu when he was telling him like, yeah, Sandai Katetsu, I made that one. And back when he was back at Ippon Matsu's shop and he got the Sandai Katetsu for the first time. And this keeps on going throughout the chapter. So he gets kicked back by King and he finds the Wado Ichimonji and says, oh, thank God that didn't fall off. Grabs that because that is like his prized possession. Since a child, he has had that thing. So we get a flashback of him going back with the Wado Ichimonji and Tenguyama Hitetsu saying that was forged by the same person that made Enma. And going back to when he got it. And while this is going on with Zoro and his blades, King's not letting up. He's coming down, just firing little fireball blasts, whatever those things are. Comes down and slams Zoro with his wings, sending him crashing back into Onigashima somewhere. I have no idea exactly where they're at within Onigashima. Not a clue. And this is when we start to get our whole big flashback with Zoro and Shimosuke Kozaburo, the man who forged Enma and Wado Ichimonji and the person whose Shimotsuki village was named after. I'm gonna just bring this up right now. Zoro mentioned it, at least in the fan translation, that he never really had time to think about it, but now that he thinks about it, he goes, how did a sword from Wano end up in the East Blue? He also ends up also later thinking about the fact that, oh, now it doesn't seem like a coincidence that it's named Shimotsuki Village. With the whole sword winding up in the East Blue thing, you didn't have time to think about it before, but now you do. No, Zoro, now is the time that you don't have time to think about it. You had time to think about this all before you got to Onigashima. The entire time you were messing around with Enma, cutting off cliffs and stuff when you're trying to cut trees, yeah, you could have been thinking about all of this stuff. But now, when you're in the middle of pitched combat with an opponent that, I'm sorry, I apologize, I'm sorry, has kind of been whooping your ass until this point, this is when you don't have time. So, I don't know what the hell Zoro's talking about with that whole, I didn't have time to think about it until now. Yeah, you did. Anyway, Kozaburo was the person who told Zoro about Tsunachi, the thing that he told Momo to say when he was training, and Momo got told not to say it. Zoro, we even see when he learned that, and he told Kozaburo himself. He's like, I don't think I'm going to use that. That sounds dumb. Kozaburo was also the person that gave Zoro those 2 real blades that he ended up challenging Kuina with. He didn't just randomly grab swords from the dojo. If you go back to Zoro's backstory, he challenged her with 2 ones. Yeah, I believe these are those 2 swords. He also goes on to tell Zoro about blades themselves, and he also mentions that he can only make little just swords like this nowadays. He can't make things like Enma. He can't make things like the Wado Ichimonji anymore. But he does say that he made his magnum opus back in his youth. That is Enma that he was referring to. But anyway, he gave Zoro the 2 real swords, and he also told him, swords are meant to kill. That's what they're designed to do. Smiths make swords so they can kill as many people as possible. Zoro, I think, mentioned something about people thinking some swords can be cursed. And Shimotsuki says, no, cursed swords don't exist. They're just really good at their job. So, as far as Shimotsuki Kozaburo is concerned, cursed swords aren't actually really a thing. It's just a masterfully made blade. It is just extremely, extremely good at what it is made to do, and that gives the impression to weak people that they are cursed. I kind of like this line of thinking. I don't know if this is entirely true or factual, considering you see Enma, a sword he made, doing things like stealing people's haki and energy. Maybe you can just say it was made so well it does that. I don't know, but that seems like some cursed ass type shit, I'm just saying. He also explains to Zoro that every sword is like a person with their own disposition, and a swordsman is somebody who takes that will and bends it to their own. And the last little bit that Zoro learned from Shimotsuki Kozaburo in this flashback was that his magnum opus, the blade he mentioned, was named after the Lord of the Underworld. And then the last thing we see before cutting back to the present is Ipponmatsu saying a sword chooses its wielder. And then we cut back and Zoro wakes up to see Enma right in front of him, still just flowing with haki and these just clouds and smoke. It just looks absolutely insane. And Zoro's really kind of finally starting to understand what's going on here. Enma isn't angry, it's not acting out of malice, it's not trying to betray Zoro, it's not seeking a new owner. It's just holding Zoro up to its own standards. The standards that Odin was able to meet, the standards that nobody else was able to meet. And you even notice, if you go back and look, typically throughout all the other times that Enma was acting up and draining the haki away from Zoro like that, actively doing it, his arm was shriveled. After he starts to realize this and starts pumping out the necessary amount of haki and just holding himself up to the standards that Enma wanted, you could see his arm was perfectly fine. It still had that coating around it, but it wasn't all shriveled up after that. So Zoro is finally starting to understand Enma and understanding what he has to do to be able to wield Enma. And he even is a little hesitant on this. He's like, that much haki, that is a lot. I basically have to be going all out with my haki output, and that could kill me, honestly. And some people might say, well, why didn't Enma start doing this beforehand? Why did it really just start acting up now? I think this might partially be just the fact that Enma might not be completely cold-hearted. When somebody first picks up Enma, Enma might not say, okay, you gotta go to 100% Odin level right now, otherwise I'm immediately taking all of this haki and you can just die, I don't care. Enma might be like, okay, let's try it out. Let's see if you can at least do this. Oh, hey, wow, you actually put out a decent amount. You know, that will satisfy me for a little while, but you're going to have to keep working on it. You're going to have to keep giving me more. You're going to have to keep giving me more until we eventually get to the level where I personally am okay with the amount of haki I receive. So Zoro was just doing it fine. He had that level fine. And Zoro didn't really know that, hey, I'm not living up to Odin's standards for this blade. I'm not living up to this blade's standards for the amount of haki it wants to receive. And now Enma's finally reaching the point where it's like, okay, kid, you're not upping it more. You need to keep upping it. This is not where we're supposed to be at. We have to keep growing, okay? And now it's finally got to the point where it's like, no, you either get to the level you need to be at, or you don't get to use me anymore. You've had your time, you need to grow. Hurry it up. Chop, chop, get to it. So yeah, that's kind of where I think Enma is coming from. Also, at this time, remember, King kicked Zoro back into Onigashima, so a bunch of beast pirates see him, go running up. King is also there, he just followed him in. And they all just get knocked out. Because Zoro says, no, this is how it's supposed to be. And lets out a huge amount, just a big old burst. Maybe not a huge amount. Let me calm down, Zoro fan. Okay. Lets out a big old burst of Conqueror's haki, knocks out all the fodder, and then we cut back, and all of his blades have that smoky, cloudy effect around them with the armament haki. And I believe there's a little bit more than armament haki there because we have a decent chunk of lightning coming off every single one of these blades. So Zoro looks like an absolute demon with these smoky, thundery blades just in each hand and in his mouth. Woo! Alright, I think we might have just evened the playing fields here. I mean, obviously I don't know the upper limit of King's strength, but I'm gonna take a wild guess and say Zoro just got a huge power-up. I don't think Zoro is on the same level he was a second ago, before he learned how to do that, whatever that is, to his sword. I want to see Mihawk do that too. I want to see Shanks do that. I want to see everybody that has a sword do that. But yeah, that was amazing. I can't wait to see what we do with the rest of this fight. Yeah, I'm just happy. I don't know if everybody expects me to be like super analytical and like this, that. I'm not that super analytical, I don't think, in the first place. But no, I'm just happy. I'm just giddy. I love it. I'm a Zoro fan. This is awesome. Yay. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the chapter. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I can't wait till next time. I will also say the last thing I almost forgot. I'm just so happy about this. This is so wonderful. I almost forgot. King even mentioned to Zoro. He goes, so you have kingly ambitions too. Zoro says, I guess so. After all, I made promises to my captain and my childhood friend. And my longest friend, my oldest friend. I think he's talking about Luffy as his captain and Kuina, not Luffy as his captain and as his friend. No, I think Luffy's captain and his friend Kuina. But anyway, that's also very nice. Okay, this is hype. This is amazing. I love it. After the weird kind of chapter Zoro had last time where he just wasn't really feeling like himself, honestly, this is a huge 180 to end this one out like this. And oh, I can't wait. Also, I will state this one last thing. I don't want Zoro to just automatically be way stronger than King now. I still want this to be a good fight where Zoro doesn't just wipe the table immediately now that he's gotten his power up. I want this to put him on King's level and see him overcome King throughout the rest of the fight. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the chapter. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out.